I'm going to be blunt with you, nation. Some bands just are, they're gone too soon. Either that or they are still active or just haven't released any music in a long time or really don't have any plans to do so. There are a lot of bands out there that I could think about that I really wish were still making music. I could think about Death and Pantera, you know, different artists that have, unfortunately, had their careers cut short due to literal death, literal extinction of life. And, of course, those things are all extremely sad, and it seems as though their careers were cut short, you know, basically either in their prime or way too soon. But there are 10 bands that I'm going to talk about here. This is not going to be particularly in any sort of list or order. Just 10 bands that I want to speak about briefly that I really wish were still making music. Now, in this list, you will notice that everybody here is... they're bands that either have the potential of reforming and recording new material, or have actually reformed and reunited, however, have either shown no interest in writing new material, either that, or has not announced anything as of yet. So perhaps, if we spread this around enough, and enough fans really show a desire, maybe we'll be able to lean these bands toward releasing something new, or in some cases, coming out of retirement. And I'll tell you how we're going to do that at the end of the video, so stick around. The first band I want to talk about is actually not in retirement. They're just under a different band name. It's a completely different band, and that's Modeled Into the Well. Now, of course, we know that Toby Driver is currently working with K.O. and has been doing so for quite some time. And we know that the last album that these guys produced was in 2009. It was entitled Part the Second. And it was completely fan-funded, and the result was just incredible. It was an incredible release. It was something that none of us thought was ever going to happen. I know the minute that I found out about this, I nearly shat my pants, because Modeled Into the Well is just this avant-garde chamber music, art, metal, just weird band that I just absolutely love and treasure because of just how strange it is, just how creative it is, and just how really expansive that their repertoire is as a band. And you know, I have basically all of their albums with the exception of My Fruit Psychobells, which I really need to find a copy of, and I know I'm going to have to scour to the ends of the earth to do that, but they're really among my treasures in my collection, and I just really love these guys. I got the Bath from Toby Driver himself. I actually submitted money for that. Thank you, Toby. And I still love the K.O. work. I missed the chance to review their last album because I just didn't get a chance to. But I really, really would love to see Modelin come back and do another album and just continue to kick ass. I mean, you guys are just such a great band. One of their members, I believe their bassist, went on to form a band called Balisette. I need to see if they've done anything recently. I got a copy of his first album directly from him. I thank you for that. And it's just, you know, these guys are great musicians. They are very, very creative. They're just out there. They're weird, and I'd love to see them back. The second band is Nevermore. Now, this is something that's not totally been ruled out, but as of right now, it's just not in the works. World Dane is, of course, focused right now on Sanctuary, which was his original project, and Jeff Loomis right now is doing his solo thing and kind of going around and playing with other people and other bands and things like that. So a reunion with Nevermore has not totally been ruled out. However, it's just one where I really wish that they were releasing new music. The Obsidian Conspiracy was a pretty good disc, but you know, whenever you're trying to follow up a masterpiece like this Godless Endeavor, it's really difficult to do that, and I kind of understand why they kind of took a break after that, because that album was just magnificent. It ranks right up there with Dreaming Neon Black, you know, Dead Heart in a Dead World, you know, stuff from their classic lineup and classic era. I would really like to see new Nevermore material. I'm very excited to hopefully see the new Sanctuary album and hear that, which is tentatively entitled, I think, The Day That the Sun's Set, or something along those lines. But I would still love to see something new from Nevermore also. Number 3, I don't think is ever going to happen. They've actually been defunct now for about 12 years. They're out of Kalamazoo, and this is Thought Industry. They were a progressive metal band that was also kind of a little bit different. They actually post-bordered a little bit more on prog rock and just art rock than progressive metal 100% and complete. If any of you out there remember this band, then you're going to be in your heyday, because I love this band. Just really just out there creative work, and really you're going to notice a lot of that on this list. I really like the weird and the bizarre, but a lot of that stuff I tend not to review, principally because it's very personal for me, and what I kind of take from it is probably going to be different from what you take on it, or take from it. But these guys just had a luscious career in the 1990s that actually finished up with Shortwave on a Cold Day in 2001, which is basically their grand opus, their grand finale almost. Like, this album is just massive, and it just has so much good excellent material on it. It's just fantastic work. I really wish that these guys would get back together. I really don't know much about what has happened since then. I know that one of their members formed a band in '97 called I Am Spoonbender, which I have that album also, and that's just really, really weird. But I would love to hear new stuff from these guys, or just at least know what's going on with them right now, if they're all still alive and kicking and, everything's okay, because I really like their work. Now, the next three bands are actually somehow related to one another. Yeah, this is going to be really, really weird. So I'm going to kind of go from the grandiose scale and then kind of go inward. The very first band is Emperor. Now, of course, they have reunited, but they don't have plans currently for a new album. They're just doing some touring and, some pretty big festivals. I think Wacken is one of them. I think they're going to be headlining Wacken 2014, which is an awesome opportunity. However, we haven't heard anything new from them since I think it was Prometheus, The Discipline of Fire and Demise, and I think that was back in 01 or 02, around that era. Now, we all know what Ishan is doing. We know that he's doing his solo work. He just released another one here in 2013. And the Court is really doing some weird stuff on his own, and, there's this and that going on. I mean, obviously, with the reuniting of the band is going to probably take some precedence, but I would love to hear some new material from these guys. But speaking of the Court, we want to talk a little bit about Green Carnation and In the Woods. Now, this is a weird story about how this kind of all manifested itself. Green Carnation formed, actually, before Court was in Emperor, and that was going to be his initial band, and then he got recruited to that band, and the remaining members of that, at that point, Green Carnation turned into In the Woods, and whenever Green Carnation got itself back up and running, then In the Woods, it's just crazy. But I love both of these bands also. Green Carnation, of course, is responsible for probably one of the most epic one-track albums at 60 minutes and 3 seconds in length, Light of Day, Day of Darkness, which came out in the first part of the 2000s. Now, supposedly, they have been working on a follow-up to that, which is going to be an interesting idea, but this has been on the shelf now for probably about 5 years. There's no release date currently on this. In fact, most of the members of Green Carnation have since sort of passed. Now, for In the Woods, this was the remaining members of the original incantation of Green Carnation back in the 1990s, and they released 3 really excellent albums and some covers and some other work. And these guys kind of took doom and avant-garde to a new level. It was really kind of strange, and it was kind of beautiful at the same time, principally because it was kind of out there. It was something where it was a very spacey element. There was a lot of just time and a lot of room for each individual song to really expand itself and just really become something greater as it progressed. And they just had just a tremendous amount of sense toward how that was going to work out, and that, of course, kind of helped them out in their post In the Woods activities. But I'd love to see all 3 of these bands. I don't care if the Court has to be in Emperor and Green Carnation at the same time, and In the Woods just exists, because I would love to see new albums from all 3 of those bands. I really wish that they were still active and that stuff was going on. I know that, life and family and, how you feel really gets in the way sometimes. I know that kind of makes me struggle a little bit as an artist myself, but, this is just a fan's desire, a fan that wants to, spooge himself whenever something like this happens. Up next, we have Pharmacon. I talked about their 2007 album, Robin, during the 24 Hours of coverkillernation. They were going to have another album, a third album that was going to be released. I think it was called Cyan, that never saw the light of day because they disbanded in 2010. These guys were a kind of like a progressive death metal band in the vein of Opeth. In fact, Still Life by Opeth was cited as their favorite album and reference point album throughout their career. They blended some jazz in there, some blues, just a lot of different things into their music. I really think that's just a shame that these guys were kind of gone too soon and never really got the credit that they deserved, because Robin got a lot of acclaim, including the 10th best death metal album of 2007 from Metal Storm, which, might not mean much, but hey, that's something. There's some recognition there, and people actually knew who these guys were. And I really saw great things for this band, and it just never really panned out, and it just kind of sucks. I would love to see these guys give it another go and give us another masterpiece. Coroner is another one. They've also reformed, but so far there are no plans for any new material unless all members were on board for it, which right now, at this stage in the game, that is not the case. Really like Coroner. Really like them a lot. Really like their kind of technical side of thrash. Did a little bit of experimentation, a little bit of progression in the 1990s. Kind of expanded things a little bit, which I always really enjoyed about the band. And they just were a really unique little outfit, and I always kind of dug what they did. And they've just been one of those bands that I've always kind of thirsted for new material, and it's just been something that hasn't happened. I would really like to see this. I think that it's something that would be really important for the genre. I also think that a lot of fans would respond very well, because within the thrash realm, we have seen a ton of bands come out of hiatus and actually record new material and have it go over exceptionally well. So I don't see why this band would be any different. So I really hope that it happens. Number 9 is Bolt Thrower. Now, these guys have never actually broken up. It's just the fact that they felt that with their last album back in 2005, that they had released, basically, the perfect Bolt Thrower album. And while I understand and really respect that, and that was always their idea to kind of leave after what they consider to be the perfect Bolt Thrower album, I'd really like to see them take another crack at it. And the only reason why is because, well, it's only the best until your next work. Until you find a way to top it, until you go back into the studio and craft stuff that kicks even more ass. And, I understand that you have to have a button on you that says, okay, now it's time to stop, but these guys are still active. They're still out there touring. They're still doing, a whole bunch of shit. It's just that we haven't gotten any new recorded material. I'd like to review a new Bolt Thrower album. I think that would be a really cool experience, and I think that death metal itself would really be thirsting for this, because it's something that would be from one of their, core early members of the genre. So I think that this is really important, and I really hope that at some point in time that they decide to drop a new release, and that we have the opportunity to hear it. Now, I would mention other bands such as Arcturus, but Arcturus supposedly is finally going to be releasing their new album in 2013, but we all know what pranksters they are. So I'm not going to include them on this list, but I'm just going to say to ICS Vortex and the boys, get the damn album out, for Christ's sake. Stop fucking with me. I want the new Arcturus album. The last band is Crotch Duster. Jason Sucroft, I am looking at you 100%. Listen, Crotch Duster is probably the greatest band of all time. Okay, maybe not. They're definitely a creative, comedic genius group. Look at the shit. Look at the fucking comedy shit that is out there on YouTube today about foxes and Chinese food and all this other rubbish. Imagine what Crotch Duster could do. Not every member of the YouTube universe is between the ages of 13 and 18, and even still, half of them are finding Mammal Sauce or any of the other songs on the Crotch Duster Big Fat Box of Shit album, and they're loving the pants off of them. Imagine Crotch Duster going viral. That would be redonkulous. That would be amazing. That would be something that I would hail. I would do a review of this, and I would probably spin around and throw things and toss confetti and maybe even chop off someone's head. I don't know what I would do, because that would just be... The world might end if that happens, but come on, goddammit. Come on, man. It's been nearly 10 years since you said on the very last track, we're really hard at work working on the next one. I knew that was probably a lie, but damn it, make it true. Make it true! New Crotch Duster would be awesome. I would review that shit in a second, in a heartbeat. You could send it to me, and you could smear shit all over it. It could smell like an elephant just decided to take a bath in a goddamn pool of diarrhea. And I would still open it up, give it a nice big whiff, right there on camera, pop that shit in my CD player, and listen to it over and over again. I would love to hear a new Crotch Duster album. Get on it, if you want. So, ladies and gentlemen, maybe this is how we can help out. If there's a band on here that you definitely wish would record new material, just put that name in the comment box below. If you see that name in the comment box below already, hit the little thumbs up and let's get a whole boatload of thumbs ups. Yeah. I'm not sure if that's actually going to do anything. Maybe you could share this with a couple of the bands on a couple of their fan pages and stuff like that. That way we can tell them collectively, please come back. We need you. We need you like a damn junkie needs his fix. Because that would be awesome. How about some other bands? What are some other bands that you wish would come back? That's another thing you can let me know in the comment box. Together, we can cause bands to reform. Maybe. I hope. It'd be awesome.